Okay, so today we're going to be checking out some stories from this podcast called Beyond the Engine Room, right?
Yeah. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So it's by this guy Rob Peterson,
Mm-hmm.
and basically he talks about his experiences, working on ships and traveling the world back in the late '80s, early '90s.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So we're looking specifically at some excerpts from 1990, and there's this one story. I think you'll really like it.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So picture this. Rob gets a call for a job,
Okay.
and it ends up being a pretty big one because they need like a crew of 11 people.
11. Wow. That's a big team for a ship job.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And they all got to fly out to Heathrow to meet up before heading off to who knows where.
International. Fancy.
Exactly. But here's the funny part, and this is where the story starts getting good, all right?
Okay.
So they're all at Heathrow, right?
Yeah.
And they've got this system figured out, this like little workaround they call the breakfast receipt dodge.
The breakfast what? What is that?
So basically, Heathrow, like a lot of airports, I guess, you'd see receipts just kind of lying around, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So these guys, they started collecting them.
Really?
Yeah, all these discarded breakfast receipts, and they'd turn them in to the company for reimbursement.
Ha. No way. So they're getting paid back for meals they didn't even have.
Exactly. And, the company, they were covering food, but not beverages, let's say.
Ah, I get it. So this clever little scheme gave them some extra cash to, enjoy themselves a bit at the airport bar before the long flight.
You got it.
That's brilliant. It's amazing how people can come up with these, systems to get around rules and stuff.
Right. I mean, it speaks to their resourcefulness, wouldn't you say?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's like they find creative solutions within the constraints, right?
Yeah.
I bet this kind of thing happens all the time in all sorts of places.
Oh, absolutely. But okay, get this. So they finally land in New York City.
New York City. Wow, what a change of scenery from an engine room.
Right. So they pile into this, beat up old yellow school bus.
A school bus. Really?
I know, right? To take them to the docks,
Yeah.
And they're driving through Manhattan, surrounded by all these skyscrapers.
Man, talk about a contrast, right? Like here they are, these guys who spend their lives in these, industrial spaces.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're dropped into the middle of this iconic, bustling city. It's almost like symbolic in a way, don't you think?
Oh, totally. It's like they're so close to this incredible experience,
Yeah.
but their destination is a ship, taking them away from it all.
That's tough. It's like you can see the freedom and excitement just out of reach. Makes you wonder what's going through their minds at that moment.
Well, yeah. And that's where the story gets even better.
Okay.
So they're on this bus, feeling that pull of the city.
Yeah.
And they decide to hatch this plan.
What kind of plan?
They're going to bribe the bus driver.
What? They're going to bribe him to do what?
To delay their arrival at the docks. Just long enough to miss the ship's departure.
Whoa. Hold on. So they're trying to miss the boat on purpose to stay in New York.
Exactly.
I mean, I kind of get it. Have you ever been on a work trip or something and just wished you could, ditch the schedule and explore a bit?
All the time. And especially in a place like New York City, right?
Exactly. So their little scheme, it's kind of daring, right? It's like a mix of wanting to break free, a touch of rebellion against authority, and a big dose of, just wanting to have some fun.
And just the image of them, trying to casually slip the driver a bribe as if it's no big deal.
Uh-huh. Oh, man, that's priceless. It's like something straight out of a movie.
I know, right? But, reality sets in pretty quickly.
What do you mean?
Well, their plan fails.
Oh, no. So they don't manage to miss the boat.
Nope. The driver, he's unmoved by their generous offer. So they reach the ship right on time. Their dreams of New York City adventures dashed against the docks, literally. And this time...
yeah, he's on the Sky Princess.
This time, we're heading to the crew bar.
Ooh.
We're going to have some cultural mishaps and maybe even a bit of urban revitalization.
You know what I find interesting about this part of Rob's trip is that we're getting a look behind the curtain. He's not just seeing the passenger side of things, the glitz and the glam. We get to see how the ship actually works.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different perspective, for sure. So, okay, picture this. He gets to New York City. He's ready to board. And he calls the Sky Princess. He's like, this is a mighty ship. Right away, this thing is massive.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the crew area. He describes it as a maze. Narrow hallways, dim lighting, Like, whoa.
A maze, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of like a metaphor, isn't it? For the whole system on the ship. Like upstairs, you've got the passengers, everything's nice and shiny.
Right.
But down below in the crew area, it's a whole different world, almost like a secret city.
I know, right? It's like this whole other world going on underneath. And then, like, finally, he makes it to the crew bar. He says it's where everyone hangs out.
Okay.
But here's the thing. He and his coworker, Steve, they got put up in passenger cabins, passenger accommodations. Yeah. So, okay, the ship sets off from New York, and their first stop, Philadelphia, but they're working during the day, so they only get to see the city at night. They end up on South Street. It's pretty well known for its, I don't know, like bar scene and stuff.
Oh, I see.
So Steve, Steve's British. He goes up to the bar and asks for a pint of bitter.
Oh.
And this is where it gets funny.
Oh, no.
Because, even when you speak the same language, things can get a little off.
Totally. So Steve, he's thinking, hey, I'm in a bar. They'll know what I mean, right? But of course, they're looking at him like, what is this guy talking about?
Totally.
It just goes to show you, even small things, like how you order a drink, they can be different in another country.
Yeah, for sure. It's the small things. So after Philadelphia, they sail on to Baltimore. And Rob, he's really impressed by the Inner Harbor. He even compares it to Cardiff Bay back in his hometown.
That's a good comparison. Both Baltimore and Cardiff, they took these old kind of rundown waterfronts and they turned them into these cool places to visit.
Yeah, I like that. Last time we left Rob working his way down the USA's eastern seaboard, still on that seagoing maintenance journey.
Right, right.
But today's deep dive, we're going to shift the focus a little.
Yeah.
Instead of the nuts and bolts, we're going to meet some of the characters.
Oh, the people, right?
The people.
Yeah.
Exactly. The personalities that color Rob's world.
Makes sense. I mean, that's got to be a big part of the experience.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Rob does not disappoint with his stories.
Oh, good. I'm intrigued already.
First up, let's talk about Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Rob's cabin mate. Now, Steve's walk, according to Rob, was, well, let's just say unique.
Unique. All right, so how unique are we talking?
Imagine walking with your feet pointed outwards.
Okay.
Like constantly showing, like 10 to 2 on a clock face.
10 to 2. I can actually picture that.
Yeah, right.
Not exactly graceful, is it?
No, not at all.
So naturally, what'd they nickname him?
10 to 2. What else?
Of course.
But the guys didn't stop there.
Oh, no. What else did they do?
They decided to prank him.
A prank? Oh, I love a good prank story. What'd they do?
They set up his scaffolding board at a 10 till 2 angle.
Oh, come on. That's brilliant. I bet he got a kick out of that eventually.
I'm sure he did. I mean, you got to have that kind of humor.
You're right, especially in that kind of environment, right?
Exactly. When you're working long hours, under pressure, got to find those moments of levity.
Absolutely. Keeps things light, keeps the morale up.
Absolutely. Keeps you sane, probably. But, it wasn't all pranks and laughs for Rob. He got to see some incredible places, too.
Oh, right. He was working his way down the coast, wasn't he?
Yep. He mentions Charleston, Savannah. Imagine those historic ports. The beauty, the architecture.
Oh, I'd love to see those places.
But get this, those stops. Whirlwind visits.
Really?
Barely any time to blink before it was back on the ship, on to the next job.
Wow, that's got to be tough. Surrounded by all that history and beauty, but no time to really soak it in.
It's a different kind of travel, that's for sure. It makes you wonder what kind of person thrives in that environment.
Someone who can appreciate those stolen moments, I guess. Not get too distracted by the allure of the destination. Stay focused.
Exactly. Speaking of appreciating things, let's talk about another character who really impacted Rob.
Okay, who's that?
Wyndham.
Wyndham, all right.
Now, Wyndham's someone Rob has known since his apprenticeship days. Describes him as a real mentor figure, someone he really looks up to.
Ah, a mentor. That's interesting. In a job like seagoing maintenance, I bet having a mentor is crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. You're often in isolated environments,
Right.
physically demanding work, sometimes dangerous.
Right.
Having someone experienced to guide you, someone who's been there and done that.
Invaluable. It's like a safety net almost. Someone to show you the ropes, teach you the unspoken rules.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But Wyndham was more than just know-how. Rob paints quite the picture.
Oh, go on. I'm listening.
Wyndham was a physically imposing guy, even in his mid-40s, maybe a former bodybuilder. That physique that time hasn't quite erased.
Okay, strong, experienced. I'm getting a picture.
But it gets better.
Better.
Covered in tattoos, each telling a story, according to Rob.
Tattoos, okay.
And the hair, a balding Elvis quiff is how Rob put it. Thinning on top, styled high, faded sides.
A balding Elvis quiff. All right, that's a look.
Quite the visual, right?
Yeah.
Strong, experienced mentor, but with this, well, unconventional appearance.
Yeah, interesting contrast. So how did that play into their dynamic? Was Rob intimidated?
Get this. Rob actually told Wyndham that if he saw him walking down the street, not knowing who he was, he'd cross the street to avoid him.
He wouldn't. That's hilarious. The guy he admires, the mentor, is also someone he'd avoid based purely on looks.
I know, right? The irony.
So what was Wyndham's reaction to that?
Apparently he found it hilarious. Seems like he's well aware of the effect his appearance can have. Embraces it with a sense of humor.
That's great. Sounds like a guy who's comfortable in his own skin.
Definitely. Okay, so last time we left off with Rob and his crewmates, they were exploring a U.S. port city.
Right.
I think this time they're in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, that's right, Sam.
And so we're going to pick up there and find out what happens next.
Okay, let's dive in.
So I guess we should probably just jump right into it.
Yeah, fire away.
So picture this. You're Rob, okay?
Okay.
You've just come off a long shift in the engine room,
Yeah, tough work.
grueling work, right?
Yeah.
You're finally getting a chance to stretch your legs on the quay wall, and suddenly you see a police car rolling up,
Oh.
right? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's a little unnerving, I'd say.
I know, right?
Especially in a foreign port.
Exactly. You're not really sure what to expect.
Yeah, you're kind of on edge a little bit.
Yeah. But now keep in mind, Savannah is a busy port city.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not totally the ordinary to see a police presence around the docks.
No, I mean, they got to keep things safe and secure, right?
Exactly. Plus, you've got all these passengers coming and going.
Tourists all over the place.
You're in a different country.
Yeah.
They probably want to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably just routine.
Probably. But I'm sure in that moment, it's like your heart skips a beat.
Oh, definitely.
What did I do?
Yeah, exactly.
So the police car rolls up, and now Rob, being Rob,
Uh-oh.
decides to do what?
What's he gonna do?
He goes up to the officer and he asks for a picture.
No way he's got guts.
I know, right?
That's bold.
But the best part is,
What?
the officer agrees.
No way.
Not only does he agree, he gets in on the joke and pretends to arrest Rob for the photo.
Oh, that is brilliant. I love that.
I know, it's so funny.
That's a great story.
It is. And it's just such a classic Rob move.
Totally. I can totally see him doing that.
Yeah, and it's funny because later on one of Rob's coworkers jokes that the real reason the officer arrested him was because his boiler suit was so clean.
White,
I know, right?
spotless boiler suit. That's hilarious.
Apparently that's a bit of an anomaly in the engine room.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were working down there with all the grease and grime and everything. It's going to be hard to keep your clothes clean.
Right, exactly. So the fact that Rob's looking all spiffy in his clean boiler suit,
Yeah.
it's bound to draw some attention.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, moving on from the cop's story,
Okay.
Rob then runs into his friend Wyndham.
Wyndham.
Now, Wyndham, this guy is known for his unique sense of humor, let's just say.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So picture this. Wyndham has this massive eagle tattoo on his chest, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And Rob, being Rob, sees Wyndham and shouts out, "Hey, Wyndham, get your budgie out for the boys."
Oh my God.
I know, right?
That's so rough.
I can just imagine the scene.
That's just classic banter right there.
Exactly. And, it just adds to the whole lighthearted atmosphere on board.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having a blast.
They really are. And it's great to see that kind of camaraderie,
Especially in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I mean, they're away from home for months at a time,
Working long hours.
living in close quarters. So a little humor goes a long way. So the Sky Princess finally reaches its last stop
Okay.
on this part of the journey.
Yeah.
Port Everglades,
Oh, yeah.
near Miami.
Right.
And a lot of the crew, they disembark there,
Okay.
along with a couple of others,
Okay.
Doc and Smudger.
Dock and Smudger.
They get asked to stay on board.
Really?
Yeah, for the Caribbean leg of the cruise.
It is, and it makes you even more excited to hear what happens next.
Exactly. So stay tuned for our next deep dive as we follow the Sky Princess into the heart of the Caribbean.
Can't wait.
And in the meantime, why don't you let us know in the comments what you think awaits Rob on the next leg of his journey.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right, until next time.
See you then.